Yep, this is the kind of weather and the kind of conditions in which to test this kind of gear. RoughStuff, you rock. This thing is warm as anything. I'm completely comfortable in this weather. It's pretty nasty here and there. It's a bit windy. We have a lot of snow, but I'm feeling just awesome in this thing, and I'm going to ski down there. Yeah, it's just weather. So my name's Suzanne Williams, and we're starting to get some pretty cold and damp weather at the moment here in Bavaria, in the Bavarian Alps. And so I think it's time for me to introduce you to my favorite companion in this kind of weather. I've been wearing this Loden Haudegen from RoughStuff since about February. I had the prototype version of it, and this is the prototype version. And today I'd just like to explain to you how that works and why I love it so much. It's Loden, 100% Loden. It's a very traditional fabric that is very warm when it's wet. It's absolutely windproof. It's pretty light. The whole thing weighs about 1 kilo. It's a little bit warmer. It's about twice the weight of the Dubbelskerl RoughStuff jacket. And this is in an Anorak, essentially because it completely reduces the amount of wind that comes through the zippers. Features: an extremely good hood. It allows you to shut completely your head and enclose it in against the weather. A very large neck opening, which has a lot to do with how the Loden principle actually works, which I'll talk to you about in a bit. So this closes right down or opens up in a chimney effect. Also very important, the big kangaroo pocket. I'm a lot of time spending doing my tours in very, very cold weather, and so I need to be able to work with my gloves off in a warm, large environment. The pocket has another zip pocket inside, so all my tools and bits and pieces go in here. And if I have to, for instance, change the battery on the camera or do some kind of delicate work, I'll take everything, put it inside this kangaroo pouch and do the work in there. This also solves the mystery of what these things are for. These are loops like a daisy chain where you can attach your gloves, you can attach very important tools that you need to be able to get out of your pocket in a hurry. This thing is more than just for show. Then we have the zippers up the side here for venting, and a draw cord. I've actually bought this quite large for my body, and so you see that my sleeves are rolled up. This is so that I can roll my sleeves down or wear other layers underneath. This brings me to how the Loden thing really works. The idea with Loden and the Loden system is that you maintain and manage your microclimate. So I will wear 1 or 2 layers underneath this, but I'll never basically need to take this off. Right now I'm wearing a merino 260 underneath, but I might also wear an additional just old woolen jumper, or in fact a Norwegian style wooden jumper. With this underneath here I was completely fine, and I never needed to make any clothing changes on a ski tour where I was doing 600 vertical meters per hour ascending in minus 20 degrees of weather and very heavy wind. Then I was in the same equipment, standing still for 20 minutes, taking photographs. I just never suffered. So the Loden in a modular combination with more or less layers of wool underneath. If you must, of course, you can also wear a puffy underneath it. This is a synthetic puffy. Very important that everything that you wear with Loden underneath doesn't mind getting wet, because the principle of this jacket is essentially that you take it off. You manage your moisture and your sweat and the rain whilst actually wearing the Anorak. And this is also why you have this huge great neck hole and these great big vents, is that you are actually capable of making a chimney effect and vent your body heat out of the Anorak If you then start getting cold and you need to stop, then you just shut everything down. You shut the zips, you shut this, you shut the hood. So the Loden doesn't mind getting wet, but of course eventually it will get soaked through. It's still warm, it's still windproof, but we might find that annoying. Also, eventually if you start to want to sleep in the Loden, which I often do, then it's nice for it not to be completely sodden. And so in very extreme circumstances, we might wear things over the Anorak. And typical things you might choose: sil nylon, just a sil nylon poncho, a Polish poncho. I will show you in the video afterwards of me actually wearing this poncho. So the Polish poncho or plaszpalatka works really well. Then we can move up if it gets very, very cold. We can move up to this style of garment. It's a mountain sarap. I also use it as a sleeping bag in the mountains. This can also go over the top. Or something like a fjallraven luka. So you can now start to imagine merino, the Norwegian pullover, the Loden, the luka, possibly over the top of that, or possibly underneath that even a type of a snow smock, Swedish snow smock. So the idea essentially is that you have a microclimate on your body that doesn't change. You never take it off to change your inner layer. I mean, it just never makes sense to me to expose your body to extreme cold weather just to change your undershirt and then put it back on again. That's weird to me. So the microclimate stays the same, and you layer over the top of it. The thing that is most like this Loden that I've used for many, many years, and the same principle in the system, is actually this British system called Buffalo. The Buffalo jacket does very many similar things, and the principle again is that you never take it off, that you don't mind getting wet because it will just dry on your body. This thing dries from soaking to completely acceptable in about 30 minutes from body heat. If it gets absolutely horrible wet, then I might take it off before I get in my sleeping bag, and I'll lay it between the sleeping bag and the hammock so that the air will dry the Loden. In the morning it's perfectly fine to put it on. Difference between this Buffalo system and this, of course, is that this hates fire. It's very fragile, and it's essentially, when it starts to get very wet and it's very windy, it stops being all that great for warmth. And this Loden, whereas it's a slight bit heavier, this thing is about 700 grams, this thing is just under a kilo. To me it's absolutely worthwhile for those reasons. You're just not going to rip it. It provides some level of impact protection. It certainly provides protection against sticks, against sparks, against sort of abrasion type falls down scree slopes or snow. And there is another important difference. If you start sliding on snow or ice in something that's made out of nylon, you're going. This thing provides actually quite a bit of friction, and in my case, since I spend a lot of time in snow and ice, this is important to me. So we're going to, I've tested this thing I guess for about 80 or 90 days so far in all kinds of conditions. You'll see in almost every video that I show that this is what I'm wearing. To me it's simply the go-to garment for wet, cold weather up to extremely cold weather. Even would wear it in the Arctic with the jumper, the Norwegian jumper, and potentially the snow smock and one other piece of insulation. If the weather gets even more crazy, then RoughStuff have come up with a fortress. I'm just going to call it a fortress. It doesn't yet have a name, but it's essentially this kind of Loden, which has been insulated and given an insulated lining of wool, and I'm going to show you that next. So we don't know what RoughStuff is going to call this thing yet, but we just call it the woolly mammoth or the beast. It's a insulated Loden coat essentially. The Loden itself is slightly slimmer, but it has a lining of fluffed up wool. The thing is incredibly warm. and it represents the next level of warmth. For me, actually too warm for the kind of athletic work that I do, but if you were riding a snowmobile or you were on a sled or you were doing anything that was static, then this would be absolutely the thing to wear. Same again, merino, woolen undergarment, something over the top if you have to. But the Loden on itself, by itself, can the temperature range where it really functions is from about plus 15 to probably about minus 20, minus 15, minus 20, before you even really start needing to look at additional outer layers at all. This thing would be probably about plus 10 to minus 25 in the same range, but because it's thicker, it doesn't transport your sweat quite so much. So that's the Loden Haudegen and the Woolly Beast. Just go out and get it. It's worth the effort. Just never be uncomfortable again. This is, to me, the epitome of just say no to unnecessary suffering. I just don't wear anything else outside these days. That's all I can say to you about it. Watch what I do, see the activities that I get up to, and if you do any activities that are similar to that, your Loden's going to suit you and it's going to keep you very, very comfortable in all sorts of circumstances. You will not regret it. So thanks for watching, and hope you enjoyed all the little shots of me using the gear. Look after your Loden simply by letting it dry. You don't really need to wash it ever. You don't really need to do anything to it other than just hang it up and let it drip, and you're good. Loden rules. See you later. Bye for now. Ah, die Kreas. Ja, das sind... In end of June, yeah, it's gonna probably snow up here. It's only about 5 degrees, 6 degrees here now. Yeah. And in the night it will get down to 2 to 0 and freezing rain and snow, so we will see how we get comfortable in that. Oh yes. So since yesterday afternoon, actually since yesterday morning, or even before, we have had incessant heavy rain. But that doesn't stop us from going out. I have the Polish poncho here, a wide-brimmed cotton hat, and underneath, Loden Anorak, merino base layer, and in my dry bag, which is on my back as a backpack and which is underneath the poncho, I have a hammock, a synthetic sleeping bag that's very warm, and tarp. So really, I can go anywhere and be practical in this weather, but man, 2 degrees C, 0 degrees C, 5 degrees C, rain, sleet. Yeah, difficult terrain, you know, difficult weather. And so, but this is a combination that really works. So yeah, pads, and actually lederhosen, believe it or not, and wool for abrasion resistance, good pair of gloves, helmet, of course, and yeah, and just get cruising down some nice hills. It was just such a great day today. Awesome!